and welcome to the MBUZZ Tech Talks. And today we have Rob Teller, who is the Director of Product at HYTE. So Rob, first of all, thank you so much for coming.
It's my pleasure.
Okay, first of all, I want you to first introduce HYTE and the legacy behind it, and just give us a brief of what HYTE is all about.
Yeah, we started HYTE to be a luxury PC component brand. I think that we were sort of the first of this new generation of component brands that are trying to innovate on both the technological features, but also on the industrial design, and make something that isn't just like a commodity product and isn't just the luxury by name, but actually is pushing the boundaries of what could be a computer case, what could be the liquid cooler, and how we can evolve how you feel about the computer. I think that a lot of our competitors, they got kind of stagnated and they just sort of copying each other. Our focus is to really innovate every aspect and reimagine how something can be.
That's interesting. So you've been around for like a couple of years right now, yeah? Like 6 hours.
I think like 22 years.
22 years?
22 years, I think. Yeah.
Yes, then I go.
Yeah, I started when I was 14. I'm 25 now, so maybe 21 years.
Wow. Okay. So like, what kind of pushed this expansion into the Middle East for HYTE specifically?
I think that our products have been a great fit for the Middle East, especially in the Dubai region, the Saudi region, and the Kuwait. That the type of, I think our products are a really good fit in the Middle East because it's an emerging market, but it's also got a lot of customers who are looking for really the best of the category. And so typically in emerging markets, they start off in like the low end categories, but right now in the Middle East with these new emerging markets, they're starting actually at the higher end of the product. So they're looking for the luxury experience, the best experience, even though it might be the first time they're ever buying, say, a computer case or a high-end computer product. And that makes it actually a really great fit for our brand because we're offering something that no one's ever experienced before.
True. And now you said, right, you've been doing this for like, what, 20, 21 years.
Yeah.
What have you seen in terms of like the evolution of the industry from the past 5 years? Has there been a big difference in the past 5 years compared to the past 2 years?
I think what happens, 5 years, a lot happens, but in terms of the trends in the industry, I think that not too much changes.
Okay.
5 years ago, we were, white computer cases were just sort of happening 5 years ago, and then white motherboards and then white graphics cards, that was sort of the new thing at that time. And then 3 years ago, HYTE really introduced the idea of vertical graphics standard as part of the case, that this wasn't a complex decision, the user didn't have to figure that out, it just became easy and standard. And so I think 3 years ago, that was the introduction of that. But overall, if you had to put a brand on what 5 years have been, it's about the aesthetic, right? We saw a lot of innovation in the aesthetic. And I would attribute that to the idea that the computer performance, it's already really good. Even if you're not buying the top of the line i9 or you're not buying a 5090, if you're buying the 5070 Ti and the i7 processor, you're getting a really great performance. And now that that's like good enough, that means that we get to innovate in all these other areas that are not just performance.
You're looking at the aesthetics as well and giving the luxury experience that you mentioned.
Yeah, and computer cases have always sort of functioned outside the idea of a technology. It's actually kind of been fashion. Like a computer case is a very fashion-oriented item, but because people were so into the performance desire, like they wanted better frame rate, they wanted the more gigabytes, teraflops, etc. That was where the money had been going up until, say, about 5 years ago. And all of a sudden it was like, it's so good, I don't need more performance. What I need is more feeling. I want to feel better about this. I want to feel in my soul that this is the right thing for me. I want to feel that this is my best tool to inject myself into the digital realm. And I think that the last 5 years, that's really been the key.
I love that you've gotten into the mindset of like your actual audience and your consumer, because you're right, that is what that aesthetic looking PCs, their stance is what drives people to like do better, right?
Well, for me, it's just I'm getting into my mindset, right? Maybe my competitors are a little too driven to sell, or cut the cost, or make the factory happy. But at the end of the day, I want to be making things that I want to buy, right? Like I'm only here on this earth for a limited time. I want to do my best work so I could experience the best things possible, and to be able to share that with other people is kind of the dream.
Makes sense. That does sound like the dream. So building on that, can you run us through just like a day-to-day? What do you do as a director of product at HYTE? What is your day looking like?
So I'll usually wake up around 10 or 11 a.m. and it's a little late, yeah. And you'll understand why. I'll wake up around 10 to 11 a.m. and I'll get into the office by around noon, where I'll work in the office for about 7 hours. We have about half of our team is in the United States in the office, and then the other half is in China and Taiwan. So after 7 p.m. I'll drive back home. I like to walk. I'll walk about 6-7 miles every day. Just it's good for the soul. Again, yeah. And I'll eat something, and then I'll continue to work at home probably around from 9 p.m. till about 1 a.m. So the sleep is from 1 a.m. till about 10 a.m. So I'm just shifted because I have to be working kind of in 2 time zones. And during that day, my role could be very different depending on what the product that we're working on. So like if we're working on like a brand new case and the design isn't final yet, I'll be spending a lot of time with our industrial designer, just sort of sitting behind them and just kind of like, can we try this? Can we do this? And they'll sort of tell me what's technically possible, and I'll kind of play dumb and I'll be like, but wouldn't it be cool if we try to do this? And
fresh perspective.
Yeah, because the more senior you become, the more you understand the rules. But technology makes it so those rules are not the same over time, and so you always have to be questioning. What was the rule 5 years ago is not the rule now, and that's how you have innovation. So we always have to be kind of like playing dumb, like, oh, I'm not sure if we can do this, can we try to do this? Or if we do this, how risky is it? Like that's a huge part of my job. And then I would say that the other part is just sort of reassuring the designers to have the confidence to try things. Because a lot of like the designs we do, there's no precedent for it. Generally, I think most of my competitors, when they design a product, they design it for the factory to manufacture, right? They're gonna know all the rules about the tooling, or how much extra a thing is gonna cost, or if it's gonna fail the drop test. I try to just be ignorant about all of that, because I don't wanna design to make my factory's life easier. I design products that for my customers to love. And it sounds kind of silly, but that's a dramatically different approach than most of the multinational conglomerates that make computer products today. I think that that's sort of the key aspect of my role, right? I'm not the designer, I'm not the engineer, I'm not the salesman, but I am the guy that sort of plays all those roles, kind of like a conductor in an orchestra. That's what I do every day.
Makes sense. And I love that you said that innovation does come from the little bit that email, which is why you get these beautiful cases at factories. So jumping in now, I know you're expanding to the Middle East, and I know you're partnered up with MBUZZ. So can you talk us a little bit through about that partnership, and like what's the value add you're seeing from MBUZZ and MBUZZ Labs specifically?
I think the hardest part of global expansion is trying to find someone who can see what you're doing. When you try to do new things, or you try to go above and beyond, when you meet a lot of people, they're used to just seeing like the minimum effort, right? And so if all of their existing partners only do the minimum, and then I come in and I'm like Willy Wonka, and I'm like, we're doing this, we're doing that. They're just like, okay, sure. How come your cost is so high? Or like, do we really need that? Because the current market, they just want to spend this. We don't think they want to spend this. But with MBUZZ, I see there's so much innovation, not just in the products that they're carrying, but their strategy. They're looking at what's going on in the market, and for HYTE as a brand, modernity is everything. Like, what is happening now? What is the reflection in culture? And MBUZZ has a really great pulse on how the market is consuming technology right now. It's not just on the gaming side, but it's also in the data visualization, the content creation, even up to the enterprise grade. And you can almost see where someone maybe buys their first piece of technology, maybe it's a console, and then a gaming PC, and then it's a semi-professional, and then it's a workstation, and then maybe they're in the enterprise. MBUZZ seems to have a really great understanding of that customer journey. And so because they see it more than just the sliver of gaming, they see it as the whole journey, they can really appreciate when there's innovation in that sliver, because that's a huge standout and they recognize that. So I really appreciate that aspect of working with MBUZZ.
That sounds really great. So like moving forward now, like you're in 2025 right now, right? Completely. I thought we were 2024.
We're moving fast.
We're moving fast. It's already Q2, guys. So we're in 2025 now. What are you seeing in terms of like, again, your partnership with MBUZZ? What is your plans for the next 2-3 quarters?
The next.
What do you see?
Yeah, so one of the things that we're showing MBUZZ on this trip is we have a brand new case that we'll be launching at Computex, and MBUZZ is one of the first distributors that we showed that prototype to, and it's a big deal because up until now, aside from our ITX case, all of our cases have been Y series, and Y series represents aesthetic priorities. That means that aesthetics comes first. It comes ahead of performance, and it comes even ahead of price. Like, you are going to get the best possible aesthetics with Y series. But what we're going to be introducing at Computex is our X series, and that puts performance first. Now that doesn't mean it's ugly. It doesn't mean that but it's just, we just adjusted that priority and we pushed performance just above aesthetics, and so now it's performance and aesthetics priority. And I think that, I mean, the response has been incredible. The team at MBUZZ absolutely loves it, and I mean that's the best feeling in the world, right? Because I don't like to show products until they're finished, and this is like my tour of just being like, take a look at what I made, and they're like, wow, this is great. It's really good. It's the best feeling. It's, you know, it's almost like you have to cross the desert without any reaction. Like I don't show anybody, I don't get the feedback, and after we cross through and people like, this is unlike anything I've ever seen before. This case is a revolution. This is like the next generation of PC cases. It feels a little good. It feels pretty good. Yeah.
Tap on the shoulder.
Yeah. So
you're expected to launch this at Computex.
Yes.
Great. So now, final question for you. Now moving forward, okay, after this launch is done, are you guys planning to move into any kind of enterprise kind of components or PC hardware? Are you still sticking to consumer? What's your thoughts on that?
I think that, to be clear, we have no plans to go into enterprise, and I think that it's not by accident. Enterprise is such a dramatically different beast than consumer, and I can sum it up with really one concept. When you make enterprise hardware, the people who make the purchasing decisions are not the users of the enterprise hardware, which, when you bifurcate those two roles, that means you really, when you make the product, you're trying to impress the buyer, not the user. But for consumer products, the person making the purchasing decision is both the buyer and the consumer. I think that dynamic is so, even though there are enterprise cases and there's workstation cases out there, it's just such a different segment that I can't imagine HYTE as a brand ever getting into enterprise. But I do love the idea that we are making new technologies more friendly to younger people so that they could have a future working with enterprise hardware, that this is the stepping stone. I'll always remember my first computer case was the NZXT Lexa, and that, I mean, I'm here because of that. I'll never forget that. You always have to have those stepping stones, and so while we may not operate in that market, we might be the door that people go through to get there, and that's really cool.
I love that. So on that, I would like to end this.
Sure.
Thank you so much. This was so much fun.
It's my pleasure.
And hopefully we get to see more of you, and I wish you all the best in your launch at Computex.
Thank you very much. Thanks.